Am I the arsehole? For demanding my cousin reimburse me for her kids? So I am a Dragon Ball fan. It's something I've loved since I was a child, and I bought some merchandise over the years. Basically, I had a shelf in my room with some figures, some sets of Dragon Balls and a Goku drawing I worked really hard on. My cousin comes over unannounced today with her 3 kids, and now I love my cousin and her kids. I don't mind them stopping by even when I'm not there. My cousin's been like older sister mother to me all of my life. She told me they stopped by my place because the kids wanted to see me. I let her know I'll be back in a few minutes. I had just left to go buy some groceries. I return home, put my groceries up and speak with her and the kids. All is going well until the 14-year-old asks me for some money. I deny her request as I don't get paid for another week and nothing special is happening, so I'm not just out here giving money away. She gets infuriated and says I let her down. And yada yada. It's whatever to me, and we chill for a few hours and they leave. That was yesterday. I come home from work today and get a text from the 16-year-old saying, "I'm sorry, Unc. She just said she left something there." I'm mainly relaxed since she has a habit of leaving things, and I go to my room. My shelf is annihilated, everything is thrown down and broken, all the figures are missing body parts, my Dragon Balls are broken, and that drawing I spent 3 months on finishing is cut to shreds. And some of my hoodies and shirts are gone, my Capsule Corp hat is gone. I broke down crying and called their mom. I tell her I need her key back and tell her what her daughter did. I then let her know she owes me about $1,500 over this, and this is me being generous. I've spent well over $3,000 on this whole thing, but I needed something back for this. She tells me she'll give me the key, but I'll be seeing no money from this. I tell her it's her responsibility since they are her kids, and she also just leaves the key open and in the world when I said it's meant for her, not her whole family. She said she didn't care and I'm not getting any money, that's it. I've banned her from my house until she pays me, and she says so be it and refuses to pay me, saying it's my fault for not locking my game room door. That door doesn't even have a lock. Am I the arsehole? For demanding she pay me back? Not the arsehole. File a police report and report the loss to your insurance. If you don't have insurance, get it for future losses. A kid doesn't get money for no reason and then destroys a ton of property and steals your shit. That kid needs help. Your cousin isn't doing them any favors. FFS, this is an infuriating story. Edit: the 16-year-old helped the 14-year-old destroy and steal your property. Their mother doesn't care. She won't even partially reimburse you or hold her children accountable for their crime. Not the arsehole. The 14-year-old is old enough to have to deal with the consequences of this, and I would have understood if cousin would have said she can't pay you back right away but we'll figure out some type of payment scheme. But the way she reacted is ridiculous. Makes me almost wonder if the money wasn't for 14-year-old but something else. Also info, how much was she asking for? Not the arsehole. I would escalate the hell out of this, maybe even call the police and or take her to small claims. Not the arsehole. Go to the police. I hate when people think they can get away with shit like this because they're family. File a complaint against her and take her to small claims court. Her kid wrecked and stole for over $3,000 worth. The mom doesn't care about your loss. F her. Not the arsehole. Not the arsehole. File a police report. Not the arsehole. The children are minors, so your cousin is responsible for their actions, and this was most definitely not an accident. Even if your cousin couldn't pay this back herself, if she had a shred of integrity, she would make her kid get a job to pay you back for the damage they did. However, seeing as she did nothing to make up for the damage, and even tried to blame you for it, I can see where her kids get their morality. Change your locks instead of getting the key back. That way you know for damn sure your cousin's teenaged meat sirens can't get in the house and do more destruction. X200B. Not the arsehole. Not the asshole. If she doesn't pay you back, file a report with the police and claim on your insurance if you have any. File the report either way. Not the asshole, but do take her to small claims court. Not the asshole, but you'll never get your money back and your relationship with your cousin and her awful daughter is over. How she can defend her kid's behavior is crazy to me. I'm so sorry your things were destroyed. You could try filing in small claims court. File a vandalism report with the police and take her to small claims court. Also, the kid doesn't get one single gift or 1 red cent ever again. Assuming you live alone, why the heck would you need to lock a door to your game room? Cousin is grasping at straws. 14 is certainly old enough to know that actions have consequences. 14 needs to figure out a way to pay you back and or somehow make it up to you to your satisfaction. Insurance may help you out in the short term, but they'll want a police report. Not the asshole. By the way, it sounded like there were items missing. Let police know that in your report you might be able to get some things back. I'm thinking cousin was planning to sell them. Not the asshole. She has told you how she feels and obviously doesn't care to raise her kids right. Send her a message letting her know she now has 24 to 48 hours to pay you back or you will be filing a police report. Tell her that her and the 2 kids is banned from seeing and visiting you until further notice. That way the innocent one doesn't suffer. This is not a toddler, this was a 14-year-old girl, so she is spoiled and should be treated as such. No gifts nor extras for a long time, and the parent also. Wait, the 14-year-old asked for money, but the 16-year-old is the one who went back to the house on the pretense of having left something there, to commit destruction? Why, and why then did you mention the younger one asking for money? It's irrelevant. Also, why not tell their mom her daughter is paying for it? She can get a job or a police report gets filed. Not the asshole. File a police report. File a police report ASAP. Not the asshole. Sue her if you can. Not the asshole, obviously. Please file a police report and update us on what happens. My inner sense of justice is freaking out right now and I need your cousin to pay, literal figurative. File a police report and sue in small claims for the whole amount. Settle for $1,500 to drop the charges if you really want to. Not the asshole. As a juvenile probation officer who deals with delinquents daily, my recommendation is that you call the police and file a report. Depending on what state you're in, the juvenile delinquents will get charged with a crime. If this report came into my office, I would be requesting that the prosecutor file criminal mischief charges on each of these 2 children, the driver and the younger child who did the damage. I would then, when we go to court, recommend that the court order the parent to pay restitution to you. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Small claims court it is. As others have said, file a police report and go after her in small claims court. I think you need to file a police report. That's a lot of money and that's a lot of damage, and if nothing else, you need it on file. And you need to change your locks, and I suspect you will no longer be able to have a relationship with her or her children, since she clearly doesn't see anything wrong with what her child did. And it's not your fault. You locked your apartment. You shouldn't need to lock that game room. Not the asshole. And I'm really sorry this happened. Do take pictures of everything and do file a report. Not the asshole, but everyone else is. I'm sorry. WTF. Did she even apologize on behalf of her daughter? What did she have to say in regards to her kid's egregious behavior? I have a 14-year-old kid. I could never see her being that disgustingly disrespectful. You may have seen this aunt as a second mom, but she did not see you as her child. You're not the asshole. And over you not letting her have money. The 16-year-old should have known better than to just let that shit happen. Just wow. I'm sorry. You should ask yourself, if you went to their home and destroyed a bunch of their valuables, would they go to the police or small claims? Your only options are go that route first or get revenge by behaving the exact same way. Am I the asshole? For telling my half-sister I won't name a baby after her? My husband and I have 3 children together. Our youngest was born this summer. We have always named our kids after people by not using their direct name. Our oldest girl is Jamie after my brother James, our middle daughter is Cleo after my sister Chloe, and our youngest son is Devon after my husband's best friend Divine. We spoke to each person we honored prior to finalizing the name. My siblings were so happy and my husband's best friend was over the moon. We also never publicly said, oh, we named them after these people. We would just announce the names and leave it there. After my 3rd child was born, my half-sister asked me if I would name our next child after her. I told her I would not. She asked if I would name any child I have after her, and my answer was the same, no. She was upset about this. This angered my mom, who said it was clear my kids were named after people and I shouldn't just honor 2 siblings and not honor all 3. I replied that it should be mine and my husband's choice what we name our children and who we name them after. Mom said I looked my baby sister in the face and crushed her heart and soul and told her that she is not a real sibling and only full siblings are worthy of being honored. She said I had treated a child like shit and I should have offered to let her help pick a name or something to smooth things over. But instead I said no and acted like her feelings didn't matter. My mom also had some things to say to my husband and he ignored her. He told me about it and I told her to keep my husband out of it. She said I can take the role of sole asshole. Though she said my siblings were close since they didn't care about our half-sister feeling upset either, according to mom. Am I the asshole? There was a nicer way to deliver the news to your half-sister. She is only 12. You can name your kids whatever you want, of course, but don't be a dick to a child. You're the asshole for that. Not the asshole. As long as you're not isolating your half-sister out, plus I understand it may be a name that is not to your or your husband's liking. But you will be TA, if you name your child Chile. Geez, your sister half whatever is only 12, you could have been kinder towards her. You don't have to name a child after her, but you also could have had a bit of tact. You're the asshole. Not for not naming your next child after your sister, but for the way you handled it. She's 12 years old. Show a little grace. Yes, like what you did is fine on paper and if is absolutely your choice and her reaction is shitty. But at the same time, come the fuck on. You name your first child after one of your siblings and your second child after another sibling, and then you are really surprised when your 3rd sibling is upset that she was excluded from the trend? You are in the right, but you just generally seem like a shitty person. Like you were right, but I would not want to be your friend. I am with your mom on this. You basically singles your SS out of the family. I would be pissed at you and husband if I was your mom. You seem like you dislike your half-sister and it seems like you really don't care at all about her feelings, so you're the asshole. You seem like you suck. Why the necessity of being cruel in your response to your sister, a young girl? Is there a reason for a grown woman to behave in such a manner? It would help if you explained why you approached this as you did. You are not the asshole for not wanting to name a future child after your sister, but without further context you sure seem like a shithole of a human being for purposely being childish to a child. Utter not for the name before your demeanor, an attitude towards your younger sibling. Info: why do you hate your half-sister? You're the asshole. Judging by the way you treat your sister, you sound like a horrible parent. I predict your kids will hate you one day. So much being left out here, I don't feel like I can even give a judgment. Your mom accused you of not caring for your sister because she isn't a full sister, and you didn't care enough to deny it. So is it true? Also, what things did your mom even say to your husband? Obviously it's ultimately your right to pick your children's names, but you're not giving the reasons you wouldn't want to honor your half-sister besides biology, and as someone with only half-siblings I personally don't get it. Is the reason for the no because you don't like your sister? Or because you don't like her name? Don't see a way to rearrange it. Her name is Chile and all you could come with was leech. I think the missing context matters here. You could have been gentler with the child though. Info: is there a reason you've never made an effort to be in your sister's life? You keep responding that you're not close, but you don't say why. You're the asshole for the way you worded it. You are an adult and you broke the heart of the child, it sounds like, on purpose. That is your sister. And she's 12 years old. I hope she's got better family than you and your siblings. You guys are awful. You're the asshole for being tactless about the issue, when your sister wasn't doing anything malicious. You're the asshole for how you handled the conversation with your preteen half-sister. You don't have to name a child of yours after her, but there was no reason to be so blunt. She likely already feels left out because of the half part, and the age gap. You could have deflected in a million ways. Instead, you pretty much said to her face that she doesn't matter to you. You're the asshole. Yeah, you can name your kids after whoever you want, but she's 12. You could have handled it better. You owe her an apology. Yes, except your little sister. Yes, it's up to you and your husband to name your kids whatever you want. But I can understand why your half-sister thought that. She's 12. From some of the stuff you said, I'm assuming you aren't close and that your mom pushes you to include her and you don't like that. I could be wrong, but there's a million of these stories. Don't blame your sister, she's a kid. You could have been nicer. You're the asshole. Yes, naming your children is solely up to you and husband. But you say you are the parent of 3 children. So I imagine you have seen your own children hurt by the words and actions of others. Every one of those experiences cut me to the core, knowing they were so hurt. And then helping them get through it and see themselves as valid. Yet you have no problem hurting the feelings of a 12 years old. For that, you're the asshole. You're the asshole. Why is it so difficult for adults to treat children decently? Name your kids whatever you want, obviously. But it was completely unnecessary and harsh to respond that way to a literal child asking to be included. You can be honest without being an asshole, you can deflect questions without outright giving answers or lying. I really hope you're more empathetic and understanding with your own children than you are with your sister. You're the asshole for not what your decision is but how you handled it. You are 16 years older than your half-sister. You have 2 full siblings, she only has you 3 half-siblings. Sounds like she might think more of you than you do of her. She is a 12-year-old child, not your child but a child nonetheless. Based on your other responses, it also sounds like some resentment on your part towards your mom and the new marriage child. Show some grace, use some tact. Your own kids will learn from watching you. There's an element of assholery there. You could have been kinder about it, she's only a kid herself, after all. I think the question here is not if you are TA, but, how is your relationship with your sisters? Do you resent her? Is hers an horrible name? Do you love her, or like her even? You don't need to say yes to her or lie, but being kind should be a giving. She is a child and you allegedly an adult. Wasn't there a nice way, mixed with emotional IQ, to tell her no? You're the asshole. It wouldn't break your queen's crown to just say something like thank you for suggesting that, I'll think about it. But now it's too soon to worry about that. Not the asshole for naming your children after whoever you like. TA for the delivery, but I don't understand, is this a hypothetical question or do you intend to have a 4th child at some point? Because if not, that was an easy way to bow out of the conversion. You sound mean. You have 3 children. You should definitely be able to convey a message like this better to a child. You're the asshole for that. You don't have to name any of your children after your half-sister. But you could have been nicer about it. She will always remember that she's not good enough to have her name or version of it shared with your kids like her and your other siblings. You don't have to name your kid after anyone you don't want to. But you're still an asshole if your telling is accurate. You're the asshole. Am I the asshole? For telling my sil exactly what having a big family would mean for her? My husband and I have 6 kids, 3 are biologically ours 8F, and twin 6M, and 3 are adopted siblings 10M, 7M and 3F. We make a high 6-figure income combined, and are debt-free, as well as owning our house outright relevant. My husband and his brother were raised by very neglectful parents, and used to talk all the time about having a big family when they grow up. They were upfront with me and Sil about wanting a lot of kids from our early days of dating. Sil and Bill are starting to try for their first kid, and Sil has been leaning on me for emotional support, which I am very glad to provide. Last Sunday, she asked me to be brutally honest about what it's like to have 6 kids. I told her that my experience will not be very helpful to her, seeing as how our situations are very different, and she asked me to explain. So I told her that I am a stay-at-home mother-wife with a passive income in the high 6 figures. My husband makes over $300K a year, so we are lucky enough to not have to think about the financials when it comes to a large family. Same goes with child care. I have 2 nannies. That is the only way I found to be able to give all my kids the attention they need, seeing as my youngest has health issues. And that even without those health issues, 6 kids are a lot of work without someone there. And finally, my husband and I were looking into adoption and surrogacy because pregnancy is hard on the body, so 3 was my limit of pregnancies, and that we were lucky that we were able to foster to adopt our 3 adoptive kids. But if we didn't, adopting 3 extra kids, or hiring surrogates was going to be very expensive. Well, apparently she talked with Bill, and told him what I said, as well as how they should maybe space having kids more, so they could give them a higher living standards, and now he is accusing me of manipulating her, and being a jealous bitch who wants to be the only one with the big family. Was I an R by telling her everything I did? Not the asshole. You told her the truth instead of the rose-tinted version Bill would have preferred you told her. Now he is accusing me of manipulating her, and being a jealous bitch who wants to be the only one with the big family. Why doesn't he want high living standards for his kids? Not the asshole. Your Bill very well know that what you said was true, and it must hurt to know that his big family plan will probably not work because of their life choice and lack of money. They are just shooting the messenger. Not the asshole. Normally telling people about your wealth isn't the best idea, but in this case, having such a high income is how you managed to have 6 kids, and you were right to be upfront about it. Not the asshole. You served her straight facts. If the husband doesn't like it, oh well, that's just how the world goes. Not the asshole. You answered her question honestly, and sometimes that means sharing info they either may not have expected or was hoping not to be the case. But Sil asked for your opinion and about your experiences for a reason. Not the asshole. She asked, you answered, that's it. If he wants a fairy tale he needs to visit a bookstore. Nope. I'm guessing Bill Sil isn't financially as stable as you and not able to afford nannies? Bill needs to grow the F up. I'm guessing he's not the one staying home and raising the kids. Not realize the hard work it takes to raise kids. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She asked for brutal honesty, and you gave just that. Doesn't sound like there was any malice or jealousy attached to it. Why would you be jealous? Lol. Absolutely nothing wrong with what you said. I have 4 children. It's an obscene amount of work. Being honest about how expensive time-consuming it is not manipulative. People with 0 kids always think they would be the perfect parent, that it's all just so easy. A reality check is nothing more than a courtesy. Info. Why do they think having a big family will compensate for their neglectful childhood? You are absolutely right about one thing. The only way you can provide any proper attention to any of the kids is if you have lots of help. Not the asshole. I am one of 6 kids with a stepdad who made about $100,000 a year. My mom also homeschooled us. Our standard of living was low. Fights about money were constant, and not all of the children got the care and attention they needed with a mother who also volunteered full-time. I have mental illness and one of my brothers is likely autistic. We did not get the care we needed and it still affects us. People should not have that many kids without the proper income and or support. Not the asshole. She asked, you answered. He's upset with the answer and he has every right to be, but that doesn't make you an R. She should ask other parents of big families or even small families. Everyone has what does and does not work for them. Your answer doesn't need to dictate her life. If she uses it to guide their decisions, then it's her choice, not yours. Not the asshole. Kids are expensive. Kids require a lot of your time. Kids require emotional support. Kids will wreck the body during pregnancy. Nothing you said was wrong. You warned her of the truth. She didn't say to not have a big family. She only wanted to space the kids out more and plan it. If I may ask, what do you do that pays you so well? It's great that your Bill thinks his opinion of what a woman goes is more important than an actual women's perspective. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Mothers need to be more honest with future moms about what motherhood entails. I'd be grateful for your honesty. Not the asshole. You were realistic. 6 kids is a lot, and the fact that you can afford to hire help and don't have to worry financially about feeding, clothing, providing medical care, etc. for that many people is all very significant in choosing to have a big family. It sounds like she either twisted what you said when she went back to relay your conversation to her husband, or he took it wrong and somehow deduced you were being manipulative. They should be practical and prepared, and it sounds like you were just trying to help and he got his back up. That's his problem, not yours. Nadar. Tell your Bill to knock that shit down. Having children isn't a fucking collection. Bill didn't think about the logistics and is upset someone spoke truthfully. Motherhood is often romanticized, idealized. The reality is that there are challenges, and often the brunt of the work, financial loss and or career delay falls on the female. Hello there, patriarchy. Not the asshole for answering truthfully to your Sil as she requested that. How old is Sil? If I understood correctly, she's still not against a large family, but against having the kids in quick succession to avoid financial strain? If she's young and hopefully healthy, I think it can be done. Not the asshole. I have 5 kids. My wife is a stay-at-home mother and I make a decent living for where we live. We are a blended family, but labels don't matter to us. We get by, but it's hard. I call it controlled chaos. I always feel guilty I can't give each kid the individual time they need. I love my kids to death and wouldn't trade it for anything, but it's not for everyone. I have given heads up to other parents before. It was always my dream to have a big family, but it's not for everyone. It would be way too easy to get in over your head. Not the asshole. Bill does not want to know the details, but he needs them. Good your Sil scenes to listen and make her mind up these things. Anyone find it odd that these men raised by very neglectful parents want bunches of children? As in more children than 2 working adults can reasonably be expected to give much individual attention? OP states she couldn't do it if she wasn't sharp with multiple hired help. Which, fair, sounds like the kids are likely getting their needs met. But and I don't want to speculate too much, how much time does OP's husband spend on the kids? Is he not just raising another generation of kids with a distant parent? So, he wants to be surrounded by a big family, but what do his kids want? Just strikes me as selfish. Not the asshole. People who have kids they can't afford are ours. Your Sil does not want 6 kids. She has already decided that. She came to you for backup and is too afraid to tell her husband. Can't imagine why based on how he's reacting and call you the bitch. Not the asshole. This is for them to sort out. Stay out of it going forward. Am I the asshole? For telling my stepsister that I don't give a FCK about her and her baby? My stepsister, Jenna, has a 3-month-old son. My mom watches him all day while she's at school, but Jenna has to stay home pretty much all the time when she's not at school because my mom won't watch him more than she has to. I've had to take care of him a lot. I am taking very rigorous classes and am involved in a lot of extracurriculars, so I have very little free time. Most days I don't get home until 6, and then Jenna asks me to watch him for a bit before dinner, so I usually don't get to start doing my homework until after dinner at like 8. I don't think I've gotten more than 5 hours of sleep on a school night in weeks. When I do have time to sleep, I get woken up every few hours by a crying baby. I'm on track to be valedictorian, and my grades are suffering because of Jenna's kid. My dad never found the milk, so there's nowhere else I can go. I'm stuck here. I decided I'm done watching her baby, so now I just go to the library or a friend's house after school and don't come home until 9. On weekends I leave the house as early as possible and come home at night. Jenna said that she needs me to stay at home a little more because she can't watch her baby without any help all day. I told her that she chose to have that kid and he's her responsibility. She said that her mental health is suffering because she can't go out much since I stopped watching him, and I need to help her because we're sisters. I said that I don't give a FCK about her and her baby, and if she doesn't want to watch him then she can get a job to pay for a babysitter. She's mad at me now and she told my mom. My mom said she can't make me do anything, but she's disappointed that I'm so selfish and she can't believe that she raised an uncaring brat like me. Am I the asshole? Edit: the baby's dad's parents pay child support, but they don't want to be in his life. The dad goes to another school, so they have pretty much zero contact. We live in California, so abortion is easy to access, but Jenna chose not to abort even though her parents encouraged her to. Her mom lives 3 hours away and her dad doesn't watch the kid because that's women's work. Edit: 2. It was wrong of me to say I don't give a duck about the kid. I do care for him, I just don't want to spend my free time watching him. Not the asshole. You have an interesting family. Jenna's mental health is suffering from watching the baby all the time, so the obvious solution is for you to watch her baby all the time. Your mom apparently has a rigid limit on the amount of time she will watch the baby, but is disappointed in you for being so selfish for not watching the child during all your free time. You are child-free and excelling at school, but you are an uncaring brat. Can you move in with a relative or family friend to finish school? Not the asshole. Don't damage your future because of someone else's poor choices. Not the asshole. You are a child. It is not your responsibility to care for your nibbling. It's unfortunate that your sister became a parent so young, but her choice does not mean that everyone in her orbit is on the hook for the consequences of that choice. Your feelings are valid. Refusing to give up your adolescence does not make you selfish. My dad never found the milk, so there's nowhere else I can go. I've got to know what this means, lol. But otherwise, not the asshole. Don't cave. My friend ended up looking after her baby stepsister while doing important exams. Dunno why her stepmom couldn't do it tbh, and she didn't get into medical school due to her grades. It's not your baby. Nata. Not the asshole, and your mom is an enabler. She likes it so much, she can watch the baby even more. Jenna needs to grow up and take care of her baby. Not the asshole. You didn't get pregnant in high school and you are taking care of your future. That child is not your responsibility. Not the asshole. Actions have consequences. Jenna chose to have a baby, so Jenna can suck it up and deal. She can watch him herself, get a job and pay a sitter like you suggested, or even put him up for adoption if she's decided that parenting is too much for her to handle. As for your mom, tell her that you did care until it started impacting your own mental health and schoolwork, and that, if she had stepped in to at least reduce the amount of time you were expected to watch him, none of this would have happened, and that you may be an uncaring brat, but she's a bad mother. Not the asshole. This baby is not your responsibility. Keep your grades your top priority. They're the best way out of this toxic mess. Not the asshole, and your mother has no business asking you to give up any of your time for this child. Let her think of you as an uncaring brat. I'd rather be that than an unpaid babysitter for a teen mom. Not the asshole. In this case you have to be selfish. Your sister made choices and has to deal with the consequences. You did not get pregnant and you have a promising future. If mom tells you that you are selfish again, agree with her. I am selfish, and plan to be so. Not the asshole Jenna has to deal with the consequences of her actions. She's a mom and needs to start taking responsibility. Stop babysitting at all. Also, if you have a phone, you could download a white noise app and wear headphones to bed. This might help cut down on your sleep loss. BTW, the reason your mom might be upset with you is because your mom expects to get stuck babysitting even more if you aren't involved. But that's not your problem. You don't owe it to anyone to give up your time so stepsis can still have a social life. Keep up your studies and plan to get out as soon as possible. Not the asshole. Jenna is for getting pregnant, having a kid so young that she can't deal with. Her kid is not your responsibility. She can deal with the consequences of her actions. Guessing the dad is nowhere to be seen? Don't let her or your mom tell you you're selfish. You have your own life and future to think about. Not the asshole. Her baby is not your responsibility. It's nice if you help out when you want to, but you definitely shouldn't be expected to stop your life for her kid. Are you willing to sacrifice everything you've worked hard for your sister's child? And your teen years as well? You did not have a child at 16, so it's ridiculous to expect you to raise someone's child at 16. Tell your mom you're a teenager and you refuse to sacrifice your enjoyment of these years because of stepsister's choices. Not the asshole. Keep doing you, boo. Not the asshole. Your stepsister decided to have a kid. She needs to figure out her life. It annoys me beyond belief that people are called selfish for not taking on the consequences of others' actions. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. The baby isn't your responsibility. You're in high school and you need to study and get a good night's rest without a baby holding you back. She made a choice to have a baby. There are consequences to our actions. If your mom thinks you're a selfish brat, then maybe she should blame herself since she raised you. The baby's father in its life? Did your sister think that once the baby was born all of you would pitch in? Her baby, her responsibility. Not the asshole. What about her bio parents? Not the asshole. Jenna's dad can watch the baby. It's his granddaughter and daughter. Jenna wants you to watch the baby since she's jealous you don't have that responsibility, and we all know misery loves company. Also, you need to show your mom this post and the comments. She needs a wake-up call on how to be a parent to you and also to set boundaries for her own sanity. Dad and baby daddy family need to step up and you and your mom need to take a step back. Not the asshole. Bye, your mom sure is. Not the asshole. For some reason people have decided it is incumbent on those who are responsible to care for those who aren't. That shit needs to end. Not the asshole. Stand your ground. Keep telling SS to adopt the baby out. Call CPS and complain you're being forced to give childcare to a newborn. Not the asshole. I'm glad you're putting your foot down and going elsewhere to get your work done. But you and I both know it was pretty harsh and likely untrue to say that you didn't give a fuck about them. I'd encourage you to apologize for that part, but explain that you can't babysit anymore as your grades are suffering. You don't need to engage any further. Just walk away. Not the asshole, but your mom is. Not the asshole. Her baby, her responsibility. Also, where is the father of the child? He should also be looking after his own kid. You, however, shouldn't be forced to jeopardize your own future. Not the asshole. Her kid, her problem.
Am I the asshole for refusing to do any more joint parties with my ex for our kids? I have 3 kids with my ex-wife Sammy. We divorced when our youngest was still a baby. Our kids are now 11, 10 and 8. Sammy has been married to Joe for the last 2 years. Sammy and I disagreed a lot on parenting, which is ultimately what drove us apart. We did mediation and co-parenting classes during our divorce recommended by the judge. The recommendation was that we communicate about schedules and parenting conflicts on the family wizard app, but to try and work on coming together for our kids. So we did just that. Discussed parenting via the app and tried to show we could be civil in front of our kids. We even did some joint parties together for birthdays and such. Ever since Sammy married Joe, things have changed. He's a lot more strict than Sammy, and he has undermined me in front of the kids a number of times. And both Sammy and Joe have become annoyed when the kids listen to me over Joe. Examples are 11-year-old had a family day to raise money for his rec football team. We went together and it was my parenting time, so the kids were home with me that week. They had lemonade there for people to drink and water and fruit juice. My oldest wanted lemonade and asked me if he could get some. I said of course and said after me that he could not. That he was only allowed water and knew that. I encouraged him to go ahead and told them that the kids are allowed more than water with me. That same day my youngest wanted to join his older siblings on the bounce house. I said sure and I would go watch to make sure he was okay. Joe said it was not a good idea and he should stay with them. Another time at my daughter's birthday party at my house and my parenting time, she wanted to know if I would come and let her and the other kids bounce me around on the bounce house. Joe butted in and said he didn't want her having an adult on with kids. This kind of thing happens frequently. I have mentioned it to them that I do not appreciate it and I do not interfere on their parenting time. But I have been dismissed repeatedly and Joe has told me that I am not a good parent and they don't approve. So I decided no more joint stuff like this. We can attend the same functions, but we should not all sit together and stop with the throwing joint parties with both sides. I spoke to my kids and they said it might be better since their mom and Joe don't like when they listen to me over Joe. I informed my ex and Joe and they said I was an ass and was not putting the kids first. I responded that it was them not putting the kids first by disrespecting me in front of the kids. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Contradicting you in front of the children at every turn is really not acceptable behavior and your ex should be recognizing this, especially in your own home. Let alone when the kids are on your time. Sounds like Joe needs to stay in his lane. And if Sammy can't see that, then the situation has changed from the original agreement and may need to go back to mediation to resolve, including Joe this time. Not the asshole. Sounds like your kids get it. Joe needs to back off and mind his own business. They are not his kids to raise. He can support your ex, not decide for her or for you. He has no place in that discussion. If didn't like her parenting style, he shouldn't have married her in the first place. Consult a lawyer. You might not want to change custody right now, but you need to document everything. I think your wife will be consulting a lawyer too, claiming you're the bad parent. Not the asshole. If Joe is going to disagree with you in front of the kids, he's the one making joint parenting functions unworkable. He should attend the parenting classes too so everyone is on the same page. But since that's not practical, your solution is reasonable. It's fairly normal too. Well, this sucks for your kids. Keep them out of this as much as possible. Why can't Joe just keep his mouth shut when you're around? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You are putting your kids first though. Just based on the way Joe is acting. And how they don't like the kids listening to you over them. I wouldn't be surprised if they were being punished for not listening while at mom's. Never mind, it has to be confusing for the kids who they should or shouldn't listen to and when. And there is no circumstance where Joe or Sammy should be undermining you in front of the children. This is obviously something that goes both ways. But if it is any consolation, it seems like the kids trust you more than Sammy and Joe. Evident by them listening to you over them. Bro, fuck your ex-wife and Joe. Joe sounds like he says no just to say no, without any particular reason to do so. That's a control-fear style of parenting that will not get him far. You've made a good choice and should probably prepare to have the kids full-time once they are considered old enough to choose who they want to live with. AITA. I'd say not the asshole. Overly strict parents drive their kids away in the long run, even though sometimes they really do want the best for them. Things like lemonade at parties should not be forbidden. And undermining you in front of the kids is really a shitty move. Well done to you for standing your ground. AITA. They sound lovely, lol, putting kids in the middle. And do they only ever drink water? Not the asshole. You sound like you're doing the best for your kids and Joe isn't their dad there. Mom should stick up for them more. Not the asshole. Go back to court. He has no rights at all to behave like this. And a judge will agree. You and Sammy are the parents. And his opinion is not only meaningless, but causing massive problems. Repeat in the app every time that he does not get to push his opinion on you. Your kids will appreciate someone standing up for them against this drill sergeant who is trying to rule their lives with an iron fist. You're not a bad parent at all, you're a good one. Ignore his nonsense and get it written into the custody agreement that he needs to keep his nose out. Or try to get more custody for yourself. Not the asshole. Joe has told me that I am not a good parent and they don't approve. Fortunately, it is none of Joe's business and it seems like he is spoiling for some kind of alpha role. Sadly, this might end up in a calm and amicable separation of activities. I would not want to be around this man. I informed my ex and Joe and they said I was an ass and was not putting the kids first. So it's fully okay for them to undermine you and weaponize the kids, but the second you say something or ask please for Joe to stay in his lane, you're the bad guy disadvantaging them. Joe is not a nice man. Not the asshole. You did a good job. Not the asshole. You have shown restraint and patience with them, but the bad parenting comments by your ex and Joe are way out of line. You've made the right choice by not doing joint parties anymore, and being civil is all you're required to do from now on. Not the asshole. Sounds like you're handling this well. Better to separate things now, before too much resentment builds up. I think your kids understand that you are their dad. And Joe is the guy who is their mom. So I think Joe needs to understand that and back off. Let your wife know that, and if it does not end it, speak to your lawyer. Hard. Not the asshole. Is it at all possible to have the joint events, and when it's your custody time, Joe stays home? Not the asshole. This actually is you putting your kids first. Not the asshole. They are not trying to co-parent. They are trying to counter-parent. I would recommend looking into parallel parenting and trying that. Mom's rules are great for mom's house, but at my house I make the rules so long as they don't violate anything agreed upon inside any legal agreements. You may get pushback on this, saying you are confusing the kids. But that's typically just a way to maintain control while the kids are with you. Kids can understand different locations having different rules. That's why they raise their hand to speak at school, but hopefully don't do so at home. And are not confused by this. Not the asshole. I would go to court and have time limited with Joe. Joe isn't the parent and he sounds like a complete ass. If you have the room for the children, they are getting to the age where most courts will take their opinions into consideration. Am I the asshole for wanting to help my kids pay for college? I'm in my second marriage. I have 2 kids. She has 3. She has inherited money, so she is set for life and her kids are set for college. I work and make the majority of our money. That said, I was told last night that none of our marital money would be going to pay for my kids' college, and that they would have to pay on their own. I told her she was out of her mind. Now I'm not going to go into hock, but I can and will afford to help. A huge fight ensued. Am I crazy? Not the asshole. You could create a bank account in just your name at a new bank and have your paychecks directly deposited into it. Then, you could transfer a portion of your pay into a joint account for bills and use a portion for funding college savings accounts, your personal spending, etc. Be careful about a partner who doesn't treat your kids well. If she thinks it's okay to deny your kids a college account, she's probably interfering in your relationship in other ways you don't know about. Not the asshole, but sounds like she might be. Sounds like you are sharing your money with her, but she doesn't want to do the same. And it's okay if she doesn't want to share everything, but it's not okay if she doesn't want to share hers with you and still expects you to share yours with her. Might help to come up with some kind of split and see if you can settle on something that feels like a fair compromise in terms of shared better than flat amount. Not the asshole, please protect your kids. I doubt this is the only way she treats them unfairly. I want to add that she does work and brings in marital money as well. Just not as much as I do. But the main issue is still the same. In her eyes, it would be unfair to spend marital money on my kids because we don't have to spend it on her kids. Because they are all set. It's mind-numbing. I would sooner divorce her than leave my kids to suffer avoidable debt. Not the asshole, divorce, simple as that. Fight her all the way and sell the house. Info, when she says marital money, does that include all your income as well? If so, I'm going with NTA. If she doesn't want to use her inheritance money, it may turn her into an evil stepmother, but it's ultimately her choice. If she's telling you that you can't use your own money to help them, then she's straight up wrong. College is ridiculously expensive in some places and could potentially leave you in a lifetime of debt. You're absolutely a good parent to want to help your kids either way. Edit hard, not the asshole, based off replies. You aren't crazy, but your wife might be. How does she possibly justify her position? It's okay for her kids to have their college paid for. But screw your kids? She sounds lovely. I can only wonder how your children feel about your current wife. It's nice that she has decided how to spend your income, though. You would definitely be the asshole if you let her dictate how much you can help your children get through college. It would probably cost you the relationship with your kids as well. Not the asshole. You make more than her and it's marital money. She earns an inheritance and it's her money? That's absolute BS. All your kids should be treated the same way. So yeah, pay for their college if you can afford it. She can use some of that inheritance money as marital money. Not the asshole. It's time to set up a bank account separate from her and for her to start contributing at least half toward all expenses. She wants her cake and to eat it, too. It's time for her to start pulling her weight. Not the asshole. Given the responses to info on here, your wife is a my money is my money and your money is my money type. If you can afford to help, you should, but I warn you, this will likely not end well for your marriage. Given what we know about her in here. Wait, you make more money and pay household bills, but you can't set aside any savings for your children's future education? Dude, that's just a divorce in the making, emo. Not the asshole. If she has generational wealth established, then you should be able to establish something for your offspring. Nope, you are not crazy, as someone who was a child in a similar situation. If you can afford to help your children, you should. Not the asshole, but why the hell did you marry someone so selfish? Not the asshole. This is a really weird and outright hypocritical position to take. You're absolutely entitled to help your kids with college, and she should be okay doing that. It would be one thing if she had said she wanted to keep the inheritance untouched for her kids due to some sort of sentimental property, but this is joint marital income you're bringing in. It's weird. Not the asshole. My older son just started college. Those financial forms are no joke. If you make good money and have assets. Your kids won't get any kind of need-based financial aid. They will just be eligible for loans. I feel like you have a moral obligation to help them pay for it. That's how I feel about our kids. Info by marital money. Does she mean the money that she inherited or the money you are earning to support your family? Not the asshole. My kids are important, but yours aren't. What did you marry? Not the asshole. Do you have any idea why your wife might not like your kids? Do her kids have beef with yours? I want to know why she has it out for your kids. Not the asshole. You would be if your wife gets her way. My brain can't even comprehend where her entitlement feels justifiable to her. The level of ridiculousness is off the charts. You were literally a parent first and her husband second. So what she sees as marital money is actually your children's inheritance. Just in case she comes at you with my inherited money isn't income, so it isn't marital money in regards to why her kids are set. You can agree and say that's why my income isn't marital money. It's my money that will be inherited. Info. She is set for life. Does that mean she contributes to household expenses with the funds, or is it just your income that covers expenses? Her kids are set for school through and inheritance. You want to contribute towards your kids' education. Set up an account and deposit to it monthly and can contribute with the money that she is set with. She has been to support the household and she should. This is concerning that she doesn't want you to help your kids out. Especially if she doesn't contribute to the household and she has the means. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. This should have been discussed before the marriage. What? Not the asshole. I'm married to someone with 2 kids from a previous marriage and we have 2 kids. A little bit of a different scenario, but I will say this. Our marital money has absolutely gone to help his kids because we are married and I love him and his kids as my own. I'd never think to exclude them in any way just because they aren't my biological children. We make all financial decisions together and that includes money to his kids. Not the asshole. She's out of her mind. Her kids are set, but yours have to suffer? You're making the majority of the money, but you can't spend it on your children? You can afford it. Do it. Not the asshole. She just told you your kids are less than. She also just dictated what you do with the money you earn. If she is set for life, then she can start ponying up money for mortgage and bills so you can start saving. It may be time to start considering marriage 3. If it comes to that, get a good lawyer. And talk crazy how people end up with people like this who have such little regard for their children. The fact she even said it would be reasons enough for me to leave. She clearly thinks less of your own flesh and blood. Get a backbone. Why does she get to save her inheritance while all of your money goes to your living expenses? Not the asshole. You need to start making her pay for her living expenses and use the money you're saving to help your kids. If that's what you want to do. Not the asshole. I don't even know what to say. This is ridiculous. Not the asshole, and good luck. Hopefully your 3rd time at marriage will be the charm.
Am I the asshole? For disciplining another person's child and ruining my sister's birthday? My husband M35 and I F34 were recently at my sister's F40 birthday party, which was quite big. A lot of family and friends were there, many of whom we had not met before. As the evening drew on, many people with young children left, but by the time the party was wrapping up at midnight, there were still a few teenagers around. My sister has 2 teenagers herself, F16 and M17, and they had all stuck together most of the night, so I hadn't interacted with many of them at all. That being said, while I was lending my sister a hand and helping to clean up, I overheard a conversation between my niece and another boy M18. He was trying to encourage her to take some of the leftover alcohol before the adults noticed, and my niece was repeatedly telling him that she did not want to. At this point, I will not lie, I was absolutely eavesdropping because it seemed to be getting worse and worse by the second. I think they thought they were being quiet and not drawing attention, but didn't anticipate me standing where I could hear them. I decided to step in when the boy told my niece that she could cop a feel if she took some of the alcohol, and he would show her a good time later. My niece said ew, gross, and I walked over and asked the boy how dare he speak to someone like that. He looked like a deer in headlights when he realized I had overheard the whole thing and kept stuttering, but I told him that he still had a lot more growing up to do if he thought any of what he said was okay. I told him that he should be ashamed of himself for showing so much disrespect to my niece. I said that she had already told him that she didn't want to take the drinks, and to try and pressure her and bargain with sex was a horrible thing to do. I hadn't noticed, but the boy's dad M37 had come over while I was talking and said that I had no right to discipline his child, and that his son had done nothing wrong aside from being a teenager. He said that I had emasculated his son in front of a peer, and I was shaming him for having urges which are totally normal for his age group. He did start to raise his voice at me when he was asking who I thought I was, which is then what attracted the attention of my husband and the rest of the party. My husband told him to back off and not speak to me that way, which is when my sister basically threw us all out and called me an embarrassment. She has subsequently texted me saying that I am not welcome again until I apologize to the boy and his father, and her whole birthday was ruined because I had to stick my nose where it didn't belong. She said the boy's dad was actually a co-worker of hers, and I have made her work life hell when it wasn't my place to say anything from the beginning. I am now starting to feel quite bad. Was I the not the asshole at all? I understand your sister is upset because of the co-worker relationship, but that boy needed to be embarrassed. It's evident why he behaved the way he did. Apple falling, tree close. He certainly wasn't going to be disciplined at home. In fact, you are so not the that I'm issuing a public thank you to you for your service to the community and to your niece. That child is 18, at that point it's not disciplining a child, it's calling out a bad behavior, adults' bad behavior. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Ask your sister how she'd feel about having a pregnant teenage daughter. For the dad, sorry you failed to raise your son properly, not to pressure girls into sex and stealing, was trying to keep my niece safe. This boy repeatedly harassed your niece to steal and drink alcohol when underage and to have sex with him despite her repeatedly telling him no. You weren't shaming a boy for his urges, as his poor excuse for a father insisted you were confronting a boy who apparently isn't familiar with the concept that no means no. About underage drinking. About sex with him. About anything. As for your sister, what is she thinking? And what kind of message is she sending her daughter? That the boy's behavior was okay and facing him down was inappropriate? Wow. Not the asshole. Definitely not the asshole. So your sister is okay with the pressure to steal alcohol. The pressure for sexual acts. She's more worried about the co-worker who is doing a bad job of raising his son than all the other stuff. Not the asshole. Considering your sister threw you out, and wants you to apologize to this guy's father, her co-worker whose son tried to coerce her younger daughter into sex and drinking, I'd ask her, exactly how long has she been having an affair with this guy? The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men women to do nothing. Edmund Burke. The let him be, boys are boys attitude are why so many people get away with what they do to women. Not the asshole, your sister is absolutely disgusting. Oh heck no, that young man was way out of line. The dad and your sister are so wrong. You did the absolute right thing. Good for you for standing up for your niece, and good for your husband standing up for both of you. Your sister should be ashamed for not supporting her daughter who was trying to do the right thing and being taunted, propositioned, and harassed. You are not the asshole. Please be sure to let your niece know she was doing the right thing and that she always has a safe place with you and your husband. Not the asshole. This kind of boys will be boys type of treatment is what raises future rapists and sex offender. BC they think their urges are more important than someone else's feelings. And that they can get away with such crimes. So sad that your sister isn't willing to protect her daughter. It just teaches her child that if something were to happen and they didn't defend themselves, then it is their fault. And that their own mother won't support them. BC they need to stand up for themselves. Ugh. This is interesting. I was gonna call this a fake rage bait story, until you added the extra details. And I know women who are like that and will coddle boys but have firm rules for ladies. I also know women who often side with men who they are romantically involved with over their own child. And I know women who try to raise strong independent daughters who can take care of themselves. So, not the asshole for standing up for what's right over teaching some existential lesson. Not the asshole. Thank you for stepping in and protecting your niece and future females. How can we expect you woman to stand up to this behavior if we don't show them how? Mother of a teenage girl, I would be pissed if my family ignored that sort of behavior. You sister is more concerned about saving face. If this is how she treats you when his father started shouting at you, just imaging what she would have said to your niece if she stood up for herself. She would be blaming her for ruining the night. Not the asshole. So your sis is okay with that boy sexually harassing her daughter? Someone at a party sexually harassed her daughter and she's concerned about her social life at work? Wow. Mother of the year over here everyone s. Not the asshole. Edit a word. Not the asshole. You correctly defended your niece from a gross situation wherein she was being pressured with both sex and alcohol. Would your sister rather you leave the boy to encourage her daughter into underage drinking? Even if nothing happened, I bet the niece was somewhat happy that someone had her back in that situation. I know I would be. I'd message her and tell her exactly what that boy was trying to get her daughter to do under her nose. So an 18-year-old boy was trying to talk a 16-year-old girl into drinking alcohol, presumably in a country with a legal drinking age of 21, and then having sex with her. The 16-year-old girl was clearly uncomfortable saying no, but the 18-year-old boy kept pushing. WTF is wrong with your sister? Not only are you not the asshole, she is. Very much so. Not the asshole at all. It's pretty clear where the kid gets his future sexual assaulter-esque attitude from. Absolutely disgusting that your sister reacted the say she did. The difference between a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old can be massive. He's almost 18. How long until his birthday? What he was doing was 100 sexual harassment and actual crimes. Your sister is insane and your niece is very lucky to have someone like you in her life. Not the asshole. Hell would freeze over before I apologized. Once upon a time I was a teenage boy. I did many stupid things, and also had lusty urges. But you know what I never did? This. This is not normal behavior and needs to be called out, just like your did. Your sister is having a hard time. Her daughter was sexually harassed at her birthday party. She should be pissed, just not at you. Not the asshole.
Am I the asshole for telling my son he has to wear clothes? My son M19 loves to just wear underwear in his room for whatever reason. He'll throw on a shirt and pants if he has to step out to go to the bathroom, come to the kitchen, talk to anybody, etc., but otherwise he's just in his underwear. I've M48 told him multiple times that I dislike this and that he has to wear clothes in case his mom or I have to come into his room. He says that if we start knocking he'll throw something on and then it'll be okay. I told him he still has to wear clothes and then he made another excuse and said it was too hot. In the summer I tend to set the thermostat to around 85 or 87 to save money. I turn it down to around 80-82 once the sun goes down because then it takes less energy. He says that it makes him sweat when he's just sitting around not doing anything, and I rejoined by saying if it's so hot go spend a couple hours outside. See if it still feels hot. We live in Oklahoma and it routinely gets up to 100 in the summers. He rolled his eyes at this and we just kept arguing. I'm wondering now if I'm the asshole. Am I? Info: you all don't knock before going into his room? That's nuts. You're the asshole. He's 19. Plus it's not like he's walking around naked. It's not really any different than him wearing shorts. A teenager living at home has very little privacy. Their room is the only safe place they truly have. Why would want your son to be uncomfortable in his own room? I do understand the need to save cost. I also live in Oklahoma. However, 85 is a bit hot. And he needs to cool off and relax. Let him be comfortable in his own space, please. You're the asshole. This is his room, where he can spend the day naked if he wishes. Why does it bother you so much that he's in his underwear in his own room? Knock on his door and he'll get dressed before he opens it. It's the best solution for everyone. You're the asshole. This post is a joke, right? If it was 85 degrees in my house, I can promise you I wouldn't be wearing anything at all, not even underwear. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. I'm not trying to be rude here, but this isn't how you treat someone you love. You need to see a therapist and figure out why you need to control your son's life down to the micromanagement level. There is no good reason why him sitting in his own room, his safe space, the only physical space he can call his, bothers you whatsoever. Go see a professional and repair what's left of your relationship with your son. And use your goddamn air conditioner. You're the asshole for policing how he dresses in his own room behind a closed door and for keeping your house at 87 degrees and not understanding why someone would be uncomfortable. He's 19 years old. Stop trying to control his behavior. Certainly you have bigger problems than this to contend with. He's in his room and his door is closed. You should be knocking. And you should damn well have the respect for your 19-year-old to wait 17 seconds while he pulls on pants in preparation for your entry. Get over yourself. You're the asshole. There's this thing where you ball your hand into a fist and hit it lightly on the door to alert someone you're there. YTA, and it's too hot. Stop being cheap. You're the asshole. He's an adult. It's his room. And what do you expect when you have it that insanely hot in the house on purpose? Sounds miserable. You're the asshole. 100 at 19. You shouldn't just be walking in his room without knocking anyway. Who cares what he wears in his room? This is just about control for you. You're the asshole. Huge one. 1. He's not naked around the house. 2. Why do you actually care? 3. 87 degrees in the summer? That's torturous. 4. Your ridiculous temperature requirements are the reason he's wearing only underwear in the first damn place. You want him to get dressed? Keep the house a humane temperature. You're the asshole. If he is in his own room and not wandering around in the common areas in his underwear, then why is this a problem? He is 19. You absolutely should always knock before entering his room and don't forget to wait until he says you can enter. Why on earth can you not respect his privacy? 87? That's pretty intense. Jesus Christ, dude. You're keeping your house at disgusting temperatures and he's sweating his balls off. Leave him alone and knock on his damn door. He's 19 and entitled to a little privacy. You're the asshole. If the kid is hot, is respectful enough to put clothes on when he leaves or someone enters the room. What exactly is your issue? You don't have to watch him sit in his room. Why do you care? AITA, you're the asshole. This is silly drama for no good reason. If you're going to keep the house temperature set at sweating ass off miserable, then you should expect all your family to be wearing just their underwear. Edit sentence. You're the asshole. What is the point of having AC if you're going to use it to slow cook your family? If you're trying to save on energy costs, turn it off and open your windows and use fans. Or use it to actually cool the house. Opinion from an Aussie who has no AC and over 100 high temps for summer. Also really struggling to work out how his nudity in his bedroom affects you. If you barge into an adult's private room without warning, you're probably gonna see skin. Just knock. Are you not knocking before entering his room? That's way more disrespectful than him existing in his own bedroom naked. TBH, there is no reason you even need to have any knowledge of how he dresses in his bedroom. It's not your business at all. You're the asshole, very much so. Also, I could not be in a house that temperature without being in my underwear or naked a lot of the time. TBH. It may work for you, but that would truly be unbelievably uncomfortable to me, to the point I'd have trouble enjoying or accomplishing other things. You're the asshole, just knock, you can do it. You're the asshole. He's right, just knock. You're the asshole. He's in his room. And he puts on clothes when he leaves his room. If he paraded around the house this way, then maybe you'd be in the right, but based on your post, you're the asshole. You're the asshole, and you genuinely sound like a control freak. Who cares that he's wearing underwear in his room? In privacy. In the sweltering heat? In 5 years. Please don't post about wondering why your son hasn't talked to you since he moved out. You're the asshole. You should not be entering your adult son's room without permission. You're the asshole. Why should he wear clothes in his own bedroom? You're the asshole. Even if you set the thermostat to the 80s, it's still going to be hot. Why aren't you at least knocking on his door? He made the every reasonable argument that if you and your wife knock first, he'll throw something on before answering. You're the asshole, and if you want him to move out, just say so. Everyone has made every point except for one. Testosterone and other sex hormones peak at 18-20, which also makes men extremely hot temperature. As you age, sex hormones dip and you get colder. You may feel fine in that heat, but to him it feels 10-15 degrees hotter. Have some empathy and get the guy an AC unit, or let him wear what he wants in his room to feel comfortable. You're the asshole. All you're doing is having a pissing contest with your son and other alpha male BS. If he is in his room with the door closed and preferably with the blinds shut, it's perfectly acceptable for him to be undressed. If you prefer he be dressed or put on a robe, do what polite people do: knock and wait for the occupant of the room to say it's okay to enter. Quite frankly, with a thermostat normally set at 85, you are lucky he is putting on any additional layers when walking around the house. YTA. He's covered. Why are you worried? You're his parents, not something you have not seen before. He's dressed when he leaves his room. Sounds like insecurity to me. You're the asshole. Get over yourself and learn to knock before you enter someone's room. You're the asshole. Leave him be.
Am I the asshole? For embarrassing someone by pretending to be Japanese? Backstory: F20 have a Japanese name even though I am not ethnically Japanese. My mum is Korean, my dad is British. They met and fell in love while studying in Japan, and had me there after marrying. We lived there until I was 14 before moving to the States. This will be important later on. Today a group of my roommate's friends came over to study with her, and I happened to be in the living room when they arrived. They were introducing themselves to me, and when I said my name, I have a pretty common Japanese girl name, so it's pretty hard to be mistaken about the origin, and one of the girls made a disgusted face and laughed at me, saying that was so dumb. She said that she was Japanese American and I was culturally appropriating her country as a white person. I tried to explain that I lived in Japan for a while and that was why, but she kept insisting I was lying and that if I was telling the truth I would be able to speak the language. Since she put it like that, I started talking to her in Japanese, basically explaining where I lived there and asking which prefecture her parents were from, etc. She ends up stuttering through a sentence in an awkward manner before leaving in a huff. Later my roommate told me I embarrassed her by pretending to be more Japanese than an actual Japanese person and appropriating the culture, and her friend expected an apology. My roommate doesn't think I did anything wrong, but now I feel like I've bad. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. As a white person, if your mother is Korean, you're biracial. Hit back by telling everyone you're expecting an apology from her for disrespecting your biracial identity and minimizing the discrimination that people of Korean blood experience in Japan. If she wants to play social justice poker, show her you've got a full house, and make her pay up. Not the asshole. The Japanese American guest was out of line, making rude comments about your name, and accusing you of lying when you told her you'd grown up there. You weren't pretending anything. You have a Japanese name because that's the name your parents chose for you, and you speak the language because you grew up there. You did not embarrass her in any way. She embarrassed herself. She made an incorrect assumption even after you explained your history and background. You should be expecting the apology. I am confused about what they thought you were appropriating. Your parents gave you your name, and it's not cultural appropriation to speak a language, especially after she asked you to. Seems like they wanted you to introduce yourself as Ashley, erase the first 14 years of your life, pretend you didn't know Japanese and defeatedly sigh, "You got me." Not the asshole. She said that she was Japanese American and I was culturally appropriating her country as a white person. People from East Asia generally do not waste time obsessing about PC crap like cultural appropriation. That's more of a second-generation immigrant thing in Western countries, specifically, the US. Not the asshole. Their friend was the one who was rude, condescending, racist and a bore. You put her in her place. You deserve an apology for her. Don't you dare apologize, as you were totally in the right here. She's mad because she looked dumb and made an assumption about you without knowing the facts. Unfortunately, I have found that many of my Asian friends that were born in America struggle with their cultural identity. Many have a lot of guilt about struggling with their language skills or cultural knowledge. But none of that is your responsibility or problem. You taught her a very valuable lesson. Not the asshole. You didn't choose your name, and you were literally born in Japan. That makes you Japanese. You're not just pretending to be. Edit. I learned today that Japan doesn't grant citizenship by birth, if we're being technical. Thanks for the info. But being born in Japan, growing up there and spending most of her life there is enough to make me think it's still part of her identity, and it sounds like OP feels that way as well. Not the asshole. She doesn't know the story nor history of your family. What gives her or her friend, supposedly, the audacity to expect an apology? Not the asshole. Grew up in the Japanese culture. Culturally, if not racially, she is Japanese. Not the asshole. Your name has literally no impact on anything significant outside of your own personal life. I don't believe in the ownership of names, just like I don't believe in the ownership of clothes or hairstyles. That kid is an asshole and is just virtue signaling. Your roommate is an asshole too. Not the asshole. You did absolutely nothing wrong. You aren't pretending to be anything. Not the asshole. This person fucked around and found out. Not the asshole. It's your name. It's not like I'm impersonating a Japanese person. My name is from a country I've never visited, but that's what my parents named me. Not the asshole. She's embarrassed because she called you out and you speak better Japanese than she does. She's the one who owes you an apology for trying to shame you for something beyond your control, your name, and then not being supportive when you backed it up by speaking the language. Not the asshole. You literally did nothing but say your own name. She never gave you an opportunity to provide any context, not that you should have to. tried to prove you were lying by saying you ought to be able to speak Japanese, then left in a huff when you could indeed speak it. I cannot see a single thing here that you could reasonably be expected to have done differently in this scenario. Not the asshole. This friend is racist and ignorant. Not the asshole. She started it, you ended it. Clear, not the asshole. Replying in Japanese was a power move. Good for you. No, you're not the asshole, but your friend and the Japanese American girl definitely are. Don't know how she can consider herself an actual Japanese person if she can't even match your language skills. Seems like she's more American than anything. Not the asshole. As everyone is saying, born there, few up there. There's a vocal minority in the Nikkei population that have very little connection back home, and push this kind of ideology. It's the same people that protest and complain about kimono shows and shops outside of Japan, crying cultural appropriation as Japanese diaspora, and ignoring the fact that the Japanese kimono industry is fronting the shops in an effort to revitalize the industry. It's absolutely not worth listening to this. Ha ha ha, you called her out and owned it, not the asshole. She came for you first, Skull, don't apologize for anything. She tried embarrassing you in front of everyone for you just having your name. This isn't about citizenship. This is about culture. You grew up there, so therefore you have part of that culture in you. Japanese American Japanese. Fucking Americans need to get this into their thick skulls. Just because your ancestors had X nationality does not make you said nationality. Especially when they don't know shit about culture or the language. My DNA said I am from X nation. No, you are a stupid American STFU. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, clearly. How the fuck you gonna appropriate a culture you were born and raised in for 14 years? Jesus. I've met enough Japanese Americans with a chip on their shoulder about not learning the language as they were born and raised in the US, so I imagine her anger and resentment comes from a place of deep-seated personal embarrassment, shame surrounding their own inability to use the language. Obviously their inability isn't their fault. You don't choose what languages you grow up speaking. Her attitude stinks though. Not the asshole. You're not pretending to be a Japanese person. You're half Korean, born and raised in Japan with a Japanese name that you didn't choose to be given. However, this Japanese American woman probably experiences a weird sense of dislocation and is kind of standing with one foot in America and the other in an idea of Japan. She's not one thing nor the other. She was rude, but it I guess from a bit of an internal wound. Not the asshole. Ask her why she has Chinese ideograms in her name. She came at you really hot. Like, there is a much better way of responding to that situation. She didn't have to come in with accusations and not let you answer a question. She didn't have to make fun of you and accuse you of lying with no proof. 20 is pretty young, but she's still old enough that she should know better to behave like that and then throw a fit when she's proven wrong. Her immaturity is not your fault or your problem. You didn't do anything wrong. You told her, she chose not to listen, and she ended up getting embarrassed. Her feelings were a consequence of her own actions. Not the asshole.